Hey guys, so ELA this week. We're going to be moving into week 2, which typically at the start of this unit, I usually do a couple of whole class group discussions where you kind of turn to an elbow partner or somebody that sits near you and you kind of like talk about what we did last week. So like what strategies did we focus on last week, which was identifying key events to summarize the text. Especially with the first story that we read with the legend and Gluscopy and Monster Bullfrog. So thinking back on that, the readings that we did last week, the main focus with the essential question is, the essential question, if we remember, is what does water mean to people and the societies they live in? So it's like, how does water affect decisions people make within their society? And we learned with Gluscopy and the Monster Bullfrog, that was a legend. And legends are super cool because there is some truth in there, but it's a fun way for us to learn how things in our environment came to be. So legends are fun ways to kind of learn that. And we also learn a little bit of a lesson too. And then in the second short read that we did, it was an interview where we got specific facts on how the scarcity of water affects landscaping and what kind of plants live in that environment and other decisions that people have to make. So, one of the cool questions in the Build, Reflect, and Write, which I'm not going to have you guys do, but it was, what do you think would happen if Gluscopy didn't fight the Monster Bullfrog? Like, what if he just didn't fight him? What would have happened? Or, let's see, it says, and what facts would you select to support the idea that xeriscaping is the right type of landscaping for a desert area? I think I hear my dog going crazy behind me. And there's so many distractions, and she's digging to China in there. She's going to China. She's in there just digging to nowhere. Speaking of China, that's what our next read is going to be. So the things that you need to be thinking about with this week's extended read is how you distinguish the key events that you're going to be using to write a summary. And we've done a lot of practice with this, and you guys are doing a great job. When I ask you to highlight the key events, you're not highlighting the whole thing. Obviously, when I ask you to summarize the text, I don't want a retelling. I don't want for you to tell me the whole story like a retell. I just want the main things that give me the gist of the story. So those are those key events, is the things, it's the big changes, changing in feeling, changing in setting, change of event. Like you look for the big changes, things that move the story to the next event or the next feeling, or, you look for those big changes. So we're going to practice that with another type of myth and legend. So, with this being a fun kind of story to learn about how things in nature or things in our world came to be by the reading a myth or a legend, we're going to see a lot of figurative language. So how do similes and metaphors and other types of figurative language help us understand what's going on in the story? Well, they help us visualize. They give us these comparisons that we can go, oh, I get it, oh, that makes sense to me. Okay, so if I compare like how far he jumped to a frog, then I know he probably jumped pretty far. But if I were to compare how far he jumped to a snake, he probably didn't jump at all, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like using that comparison to help you visualize what's going on in the story. And we're going to be able to answer the essential question a little bit more in depth, and that is, what does water mean to people and the societies they live in? It means a lot, actually. I told you how societies are created is something I'm actually kind of passionate about. So with this being a new week, there is a new video that goes along to it. It's really quick. I'm going to present my entire screen. And I'm going to click on that video. And I'm really going to hope that the video shows on your screen. So we go here. Back up here. Actually, we already watched the video before, but we'll just watch it again. We watched it when we first introduced the whole unit. It's always kind of good to listen to it again.
Water, fact, and fiction. Earth, sea, and space. It's more than because water is impossible. 70%.
Okay, so that is the essential question. And I get kind of off track when I start talking about like how civilizations were created and how water really impacted that. So if you guys ever want to look up something kind of interesting, look up the very first civilizations. There were two that kind of popped up around the same time. And one was in Mesopotamia, I believe, and the other one was in Egypt. So look that up and find out where it was. I bet you might find some water close by. So take a look at that. All right. So with the new read, you're going to need this. There is an online version. You should still have it assigned to you. If you do not, please let your teacher know and they will assign it to you. But we're going to be reading, and it probably looks backwards to you. I have no idea, but it's called the Pagoda on the Hill of the Imperial Springs. And this is in China. It's myths. It's an excerpt from Myths and Legends of China by E.T.C. Werner. Cool, China. That's where Tessa was digging just a minute ago. And it says the following legend tells how Peking was developed in the 14th and 15th centuries under the Ming Dynasty. In Chinese culture, dragons are often associated with water, specifically as a force that controls rain. Interesting. So it had a little one next to Peking here, and it says the old name for Beijing, a main city of China. So I'm sure you guys have heard of Beijing, China, and it used to be called Peking. Cool. All right. So there are going to be two phases to reading this story, but I want to kind of like break it up into two sections where we are going to read the introduction, which I just read, A Drought and Its Cause, as well as The Princess Dream. That's going to be part 1. And then that's the first 9 paragraphs. And then part 2 will be The Pursuit of Dragons, which is paragraph 10, An Unexpected Flood, which is 11 and 12, and The Origin of the Fountain, which is 13, 14, and 15. And so it's going to be 1 through 9 and then 10 through 15. And we're going to be identifying the key events to be able to summarize the text. And how I want you guys to do that is I want you to do it in your book. There will be a Google Doc assigned to the lesson, but and you can do it 2 ways. You can either save yourself some effort and then just pick a color highlighter or however you want to highlight the key events and do it in your book, snap a picture of it and upload it, and then attach those pictures into the document. So you don't have to do the work twice. So that's honestly working smarter instead of harder. You do it in your book, just like we would do in class. And then you simply take a picture of it and then attach those pictures and insert them into the document and click turn in. Okay, so you will have your events highlighted and your summary written in the margin, just like we do in class. Or if you're not sure how to take a picture of it, then you can type out your key events and type out your summary and turn that in. That'll just be kind of like doing two things, you know, doing it in the text and then transferring it onto the document. And it's actually more typing because you can't just highlight them like you could in the book. So this is actually a really cool story, and I hope you guys enjoy reading it and identifying the key events. There will be 2 other videos to follow this, and that will be to show you the key events to summarize of paragraphs 1 through 9 and the key events to summarize for paragraphs 10 through 15. So there'll be 2 different videos to go along with that. But this is just kind of like the introduction and reading a cool myth or legend. It's a legend, actually. It's not. This one says the following legend tells how Peking, which is now Beijing, was developed. So legends are great. They tell you how things in our world came to be in a very fun and entertaining way. So we're going to be finding a lot of figurative language and stuff. So make sure you read this text. And again, if you would like for the text to be read to you, then you can click on it in your assignments in Clever on the benchmark and have it read to you there. And then highlight your key events and summarize in the margin, just like we do in class. Okay, so once you have done that, then you are done for the week. So once you summarize those 2 sections. But after you watch this, read the text, okay? Then watch video 1 for key details or key events to summarize. Do that one. Then you watch the next video to do the second part of identifying the key events and summarizing that text. This is the intro. So see you in the next video.